he Upper German or Lower German?
Yeah, it's kind of, aren't you guys like from northern Germany?
Holstein, wherever that is.
That would have been kind of fun.
I looked up the town that my German grandpa, sent me from, and, it's now in like one of the Balkan states, cause it's so far up and over, and it's actually not in Germany anymore.
Oh, sure.
Back then it was in Germany,
They move around a lot.
so yeah, so it's really high and over. It was like almost on the North Sea, Black Sea,
Oh,
whatever it is up there,
Okay.
so.
It's supposed to be beautiful country.
It is. I haven't been to that part, but I've been to Germany. I could stay in Germany forever.
Yeah. I could live in Ireland.
You know, Germany is like twice the size of South Dakota.
We'll call the meeting to order and begin with the flag, pledge the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you on the first page, you see the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion set. Discussion. Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. On pages 1, 2, and 3 are the minutes of our previous meeting of August 5th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve minutes from August 5th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Public input. I just have one. This last Saturday, they had a bridge dedication to Sergeant Dennis D. Lawver, which is the bridges on South Dakota 45 over Crow Creek, and it was quite a ceremony. And those who grew up in the Vietnam War and remember, you know, different aspects about it, this is a young man who enlisted, served his time, and then re-enlisted, and shortly after he re-enlisted was killed in action. But it's a tribute to him, all the other fallen soldiers, and all of those who have served in the military. So, you know, I want to, on behalf of the council and the city, just extend our appreciation and to everyone. And it was quite a nice ceremony, though. Anyway, anything else?
I had a phone call about one of the properties that we've dealt with earlier this year that has gotten a letter sent to him with little to no improvement, and the neighboring homeowner wanted me to bring that back up again.
Okay.
They're still dealing with it.
I think with regard to maybe an issue of that sort and a couple other things that we're looking at, I think in a very short period of time moving forward, we'll have a committee meeting and discuss that, and discuss maybe a couple of other items and stuff, and then we can discuss that there, then bring it before the council, though it needs to be brought before the council. So, okay, thank you for that. You bet. Okay, anything else? Okay, hearing none. Unfinished business, ISG Capital Improvement Plan, final draft. I appreciate Cindy sending them out, and I read through it a little bit, not the entirety, but what I really wanted to do is I wanted to have the original plan that was submitted, and then kind of go through that, what was submitted, we went through previously, and then kind of go through and see what some of the highlights or the changes were with regard to that, make sure we have everything in place with regard to the plan, so. Anybody, anything else? So, probably just put it on the agenda for the next meeting if we need to, or you just have it, just look it over, I would suggest so. See if anything, and if we need to have anything with regard to that, we can go forward, all right? Anything else with that? All right, moving on to new business, Ace Hardware event, street closure.
The owners of Ace they contacted me. They weren't able to make last meeting or this meeting. They're just looking at permission to, and the city's assistance, they're going to shut down just their parking spots along the north side of their building on the 28th next week. I don't have the times in front of me, but it's like an extended hours event for them. They're just gonna be having some reps and I believe some, I wanna say there's food, going to be food served, but it's just a chance to get a little bit extra information from certain products, they're not shutting down the actual roadway, so I didn't think it was a big deal, and they asked for permission to use some of the city's barricades.
Okay, said that's next Tuesday,
The 28th,
28th.
so Wednesday?
What day is it? Okay, the 28th.
Yep, Wednesday.
And I can I left my notes at work, but I can verify the exact day, but
Right. Okay,
I didn't know if we really needed, if it was more just a blanket ask permission, since they're not actually closing a street, just kinda like, yeah, they have our blessing deal, or,
and you said they wanted to use some of the,
yeah, some of we've used them in the past where, some areas to keep people from parking in them spots so they can use that space.
So they're just blocking out parking spots on the street.
Correct, yep.
okay,
Do we need a motion for
well,
that?
let's go ahead and do a motion just for that purpose, and if they're gonna
I'll
use
make a
some.
motion to let Ace Hardware close the portion of the street that they use for parking for their after-hours event.
Second.
Use our barricades.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to allow Ace Hardware to have their area closed off for their event on Wednesday, the 28th. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. Building permits, we have three, actually, we have two of them. Elizabeth Olson with regard to mobile homes, Brandon Hamill with removal of the garage. Item C, the Legion City Ball Park Fields. First of all, and I discussed that up here and it got put on the agenda, but that's out of city limits. And basically all they're going to do is replace what they already have, so they're not gonna need a building permit with regard to that stuff, so we can scratch letter C off there. Okay? Had a chance to look through the building permits?
As far as I'm aware, everybody's signed off and everything has been paid, so I'd make the motion to approve building permits A
Second.
and B.
Okay, second?
Mhm.
Discussion. I do want to add one bit of information with regard to that. Brandon Hamill had a structural fire at his place, and that building was totally unsafe to leave standing without being tore down at that time. So that building is down, but it just, for safety concerns, it has been removed, I believe so. Anyway, so we have a motion and a second on the table to approve the building permits. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Any questions?
No,
Okay,
I did want to address you guys.
come on, come.
Yeah, come on up to the mic.
That's okay.
In your last meeting, I know it was brought up that we went around you guys. It was never my intention.
Okay.
I honestly did not know we needed a building permit.
Okay.
I'd been in the city office several times prior to that, and nobody said anything about it.
Okay.
So like I said, I didn't go around you intentionally.
Okay. All right,
And as soon as we knew we needed one, we pulled out the paperwork.
very good. I appreciate that too, so
Thank you.
that's very good. Any questions or anything? All right,
Nope.
we appreciate that.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I have a question. During the last meeting, there was some discussion that there's been other people that have, built or moved in structures that have not received building permits. Are we going to be doing anything in regards to finding out who they are? Or doing anything to those people who have not received building permits?
Specifically, what moved in, just so we answer the question correctly.
Specifically, we talked last meeting about the other trailer court over there, that some of those have been moved in without building permits. Have building permits now been down there?
I said the exact opposite. I said
Yeah.
they do get building permits.
They do get the building, okay.
I know there's question about storage containers. I know that's a big question, and that there is nothing written in there, but we are actively working on getting the storage container
So everything else is permitted, that's been moved and.
to our knowledge, to my
Yeah, to our
knowledge.
knowledge.
And typically, more often, people call us beforehand.
I specifically asked this question, so I will go back to that person and see if they can fill me in a little bit more on a specific one.
Yep.
But
I
will
was the
ask
person that had
question.
mentioned the other,
Pardon me?
I was the person that had mentioned the other trailer park, and I had said
I
that,
was questioning the office. So a person came in and said, you know, there's other people that have done it, are they gonna go after them? That's it. I only get to write what they say. so. But, I will go back, and if there's any that they can specifically name to me, I will make sure that you guys know about it.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I'll
On-
set something up.
on pages, on item number 3, new business, that's phase 4 DANR, additional $1.1 million. We'll see one resolution, resolution number 2024-9 is the issuer of a bond, and that resolution is found starting on page 6. As with resolutions, the first reading, we read in the entirety, and then next meeting, we'll read by title only, and then, oh, this is a resolution, my fault, yes, thank you very much. What was I thinking? Ordinances, yes, okay. Yes, all right, thank you. So, we have to, only get to read it once anyway. So, Resolution 2024-9, resolution giving approval to the certain drinking water facilities improvements, giving approval to the issuance of a sale of and revenue bond to finance directly or indirectly the improvements to the facilities, approving the form of the loan agreement and the revenue bond, and pledging project revenues and collateral to secure the payment of the revenue bond, and creating a special funds and accounts for the administration of funds for the operation of the system and retirement of the revenue bond, and providing for the segregated special charge or surcharge for the payment of the bonds. The resolution reads, whereas one of the purposes of the South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 9 through 40, the Act, as found and determined by the legislature, is to provide for financing the acquisition, maintenance, operation, extension, or improvement of any system or part of any system of water works for the purpose of providing water and water supply for domestic, municipal, together with extensions, additions, and necessary apparatus, and whereas the municipality is authorized by the Section 6 of the Act to issue revenue bonds to defray the cost of extensions, additions, and improvements to any utility previously owned without pledging its credit and it is authorized to pledge the net income of revenue for the project in accordance to the Section 15 of the Act. And whereas the City of Miller, the city, currently operates a water distribution systems to supply municipal, industrial, and domestic water to its inhabitants, and has determined that improvements to the drinking water facilities are necessary for the conduct of its governmental programs and qualifies as an improvement, extension, or addition to its drinking water system. And whereas the city has determined to issue its revenue bonds to finance the improvements of its system of waterworks for the purpose of providing water and water supply for domestic, municipal, and industrial purposes, the system, and has applied for the South Dakota Conservancy District, the district, for the drinking water state revolving fund loan to finance the improvements. Whereas the city shall adopt special rates or surcharges for the improvements to be pledged, segregated, and used for the payment of the bonds. Now, therefore be it resolved by the city as follows. Section 1, definitions. The terms when used in this resolution shall have the following meaning to set forth in this section unless the context clearly requires otherwise. All terms used in this resolution which are not defined herein shall have the meaning assigned to them in the loan agreement unless the context clearly otherwise requires. Act means South Dakota Codified Laws Act, or Laws, Chapter 9 through 40. Loan means the loan made by the South Dakota Conservancy District to the city pursuant to the terms of the loan agreement and as evidenced by the revenue bond. Project, meaning the city of Miller Phase 4 water project, additional funding. Revenue bonds, means the revenue bonds or bonds issued the date of the loan agreement by the city to the South Dakota Conservancy District to evidence the city's obligation to repay the principal of and pay interest and administrative expense surcharge on the loan. System means the city's system of waterworks used for the purpose of providing water and water supply for domestic, municipal, and industrial purposes. Section 2, declaration of necessity and findings. 2.1, declaration of necessity. The city hereby declares and determines it is necessary to construct and finance improvements to its drinking water facilities within its system described as the project. 2.2, findings. The city does hereby find as follows. 2.2.1, the city hereby expressly finds that if the project is not undertaken, the system will pose a health hazard to the city and its inhabitants and will make the city unable to comply with the state and federal laws. 2.2.2, because of the functional interdependence of the various portions of the system, the fact that the system may not lawfully operate unless it complies with state and federal laws, including South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 34A to 3A, and the Federal Safety Drinking Water Act, and the nature of the improvements financed, the city hereby finds and determines that the project will substantially benefit the entire system and all its users within the meaning of the sections 15 and 17 of the Act. 2.2.3, the city hereby determines and finds that the purpose of the Act, including in particular section 15 and 17 of the Act, that only the net income from the project financed by the revenue bonds be pledged for its payment. Section 3, authorization of loan, pledge of revenue and security. 3.1, authorization of loan. The city hereby determines and declares it necessary to finance up to $1,100,000 of the cost of the project through the issuance of bonds payable from the revenue of the project and other funds secured by the city. The city hereby determines that because the revenue bonds is issued in conjunction with the financing agreement described in South Dakota Codified Law 46A 1 to 49 pursuant of Section 15 of the Act, no election is required to issue the revenue bond. 3.2, approval of the loan agreement. The execution and delivery of the revenue obligation loan agreement, the form of which is on file with the city finance officer, and open to the public inspection between the city as borrower and the district, is hereby in all respect authorized, approved, and confirmed by the mayor and finance officer, are hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver the loan agreement in the form of and content attached hereto, with such changes as the attorney of the city deems appropriate and approves for and on behalf of the city. The mayor and finance officer are hereby further authorized to and directed to implement and perform the covenants and obligations of the city set forth in the required by the loan agreement. The loan agreement herein referred to and made a part of this resolution is on file in the office of the finance officer and is available for inspection by any interested party. 3.3, approval of revenue bond. The issuance of the revenue bond in a principal amount not to exceed $1,100,000 as determined according to the loan agreement in the form and content set forth in Appendix B, attached to the form of the loan agreement, the revenue bond, shall be and the same is in all respect hereby authorized, approved, and confirmed by the mayor, finance officer, and other appropriate officials, shall be and are hereby authorized and directed to execute and seal the revenue bond and delivered the revenue bond to the district for and on behalf of the city upon receipt of the purchase price and the use of the proceeds thereof in the manner set forth in the loan agreement. The mayor and finance officer are hereby authorized to approve the final terms of the revenue bond, and their execution and delivered thereof shall evidence that approval. The revenue bond shall be issued under the authority of South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 9 through 40, and South Dakota Codified Law, Chapters 6 to 8B, and the provisions of the Act are hereby expressly incorporated herein as provided in Section 19 of the Act. 3.4, pledge of revenues. The revenue bond, together with the interest thereon, shall not constitute a charge against the city's general credit or taxing power, but shall be a limited obligation of the city payable solely out of the project debt service account, and which payments, revenues, and receipts are hereby and in the loan agreement pledged and assigned for the equal and ratable payments of the revenue bonds, and shall be used for the no other purpose than pay the principal, interest, and administrative surcharges on the revenue bond, except as may be otherwise expressly authorized in the loan agreement, including the purpose of securing additional bonds issued as permitted by the terms thereof. The city covenant and agrees to charge rates for all services for the project or establish special charges or surcharges will be sufficient to provide for the payments upon the revenue bonds issued thereunder as and when the same became due, and as may be necessary to provide for the operation and maintenance and repairs of the project, and depreciation and the rate resolution shall be revised from time to time so as to produce these amounts. The city hereby reserves the right to determine on a periodic basis the appropriate allocation of operation and maintenance expenses, depreciation, repair, and reserve associated with the facilities financed with the revenue bond, provided that such determination of the allocated operation and maintenance expenses shall in no event abrogate, abridge, or otherwise contravene the covenant of the city set forth in this section 3 or any other covenant or agreement in the loan agreement. Section 4, a special charge or surcharge for the revenue bond. The city does hereby create a revenue bond special surcharge district, the surcharge district, which shall include all users which benefit from the project. There shall be charged a special charge or surcharge pursuant of Section 15 of the Act for the services provided by the project financed by the revenue bond. The special charge or surcharge shall be segregated from other revenues of the system and shall be used for the payment of the revenue bond. The special charge or surcharge shall create net income remaining from time to time after first paying all reasonable and current expenses of maintenance, repairs, replacement, and operation sufficient to fund the interest, reserve, and debt service fund annual requirements, and shall be 110% of the debt services requirements on the revenue bond. 4.1, rates and collection. The rate herein specific will be collected as a special charge or surcharge for the project. This special charge or surcharge shall remain in effect until such time as the revenue bond is defeased or paid in full. Initial surcharge of 4.2, initial surcharge. The initial special charge or surcharge shall be set by the resolution and collected at the same time as other charges of the utility. All users within the surcharge district with benefit from the project, current and future, shall be charged a special charge or surcharge. The special charge or surcharge is found to be equitable for the services provided by the project. The special charge or surcharge shall begin at such time as will produce sufficient revenue to pay principal, interest, and administrative surcharges on the revenue bond when due. Segregation. The finance officer shall set up bookkeeping accounts in accordance with South Dakota legislative audit guidelines for the segregation of the revenue, special charges, and surcharges. 4.4, periodic revenue. The amount of the surcharge shall be reviewed from time to time, not less than yearly, and shall be modified in order to produce such funds as are necessary and required to comply with the loan agreement's rate covenant and to pay principal of interest and administrative surcharge on the revenue bond when due. The surcharge may be set by resolution in accordance to this section. The rate resolution shall be necessary for the support of the government and shall be effective upon passage. Section 5, additional bonds. As permitted by Section 8 and 9 of the Act, additional bonds payable for the revenues and income of the system or projects may be issued as permitted in the loan agreement, and no provision of this resolution shall have the effect of the restricting the issuance of or impairing the lien of such additional parity bonds with respect to the net revenues or income from the extensions, additions, or improvements. The city shall have the right to issue additional bonds secured by a lien subordinate to the lien from the revenue bond pursuant to the loan agreement. Section 6, project fund accounts. For the purpose of application and proper allocation of the income of the project and to secure the payment of principal, administrative surcharges, and interest of the revenue bonds, the following mandatory asset segregation shall be included in the water system account of the city and shall be used solely for the following respective purpose until payment in full of the principal, interest, and administrative surcharge of the revenue bond. 6.1, project revenue account. there shall be deposited periodically into the project revenue account the net revenue as defined in Section 17 of the Act, derived from the operation of the project collected pursuant to the resolution and ordinance of the City of Miller, South Dakota, collectively of the rate resolution. Monies from the project revenue account shall be transferred periodically into separate funds and accounts as provided below. 6.2, project debt secure service account. Out of the revenues in the project revenue account, there shall be set aside no later than the 25th day of each month into account designated project debt service account, and sum sufficient to provide for the payment as the same become due of the next maturing principal of interest and administrative surcharge on the revenue bond and any reserve determined by the city's governing body to be necessary. The amount set aside monthly shall be not less than 1/3 of the total principal, interest, and administrative surcharge payable on the following February 15th, May 15th, August 15th, or November 15th, and if there shall be any deficiency in the amount previously set aside, the amount of such deficiency shall be added to the current requirement. 6.3, depreciation account. There shall be established a general depreciation account out of the revenues of the project revenue account. There shall be set aside each month into the general depreciation account an amount determined by the common council to be a proper and adequate amount for repairs and depreciation of the project. 6.4, project surplus account. There shall be established a project surplus account, revenues remaining in the project revenue account at the end of any fiscal year after all periodic transfers have been made therefrom as above required, shall be deemed to be surplus and shall be transferred to the project surplus account. If at any time there shall exist any default in making any periodic transfer to the project debt service account, the common council shall utilize a finance officer to rectify such default so far as possible by transfer of money from the project surplus account. If any such default shall exist as to more than one account or fund at any time, then such transfer shall be made in the order to such funds and accounts are listed above. When not required to restore a current deficiency in the project debt service account, monies in the project surplus account from time to time may be used for any of the following purposes and not otherwise. A, to redeem and repay the revenue bond when and as such revenue bonds become payable according to its term. B, to pay for repairs of and for the construction and installation of improvements or additions to the system, and if the balances of the project debt service account and the project depreciation account are sufficient to meet any payments required or reasonable and anticipated to be made there from prior to the end of then the current fiscal year. Then C, to be held as a revenue for redemption and repayment of any bonds of the system which are not then but will later be payable according to their terms. Or D, to be used from any other authorized municipal purposes designated by the Common Council. E, no money shall at any time be transferred from the project surplus account or any other account of the fund to any other fund of the city, nor shall such money at any time be loaned to other municipal funds or invested in warrants, special improvement bonds, or other obligations payable for the other funds, except for provided in this section. Section 7, approval of payment agreement registrar. The revenue bond shall be payable at the office of the U.S. Bank National Association, St. Paul, Minnesota, hereby designated as the paying agent and registrar. Section 6, approval of bond counsel. Meyer Henry Sargent LLP is hereby retained as a bond counsel with respect to the revenue bond. Section 9, tax matters. The interest and revenue bond shall be excluded from gross income for federal income tax purposes under the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended the code and applicable treasury regulation, the regulations. Section 10, covenants. The city hereby covenants and agree with the district and other owners of the revenue bond as follows. 10.1, the city will punctually perform all duties with reference to the project, the system, and the revenue bond required by the construction and laws of the state of South Dakota and by this resolution. 10.2, the city agrees and covenants that it will promptly construct the improvement included in the project. 10.3, the city covenants and agrees that pursuant to section 25 through 27 of the Act, the lawful holders of the revenue bond shall have the statutory mortgage lien upon the project and the extensions, additions, and improvements thereto acquired pursuant to the Act until the payment in full of the principal, interest, and administrative surcharges of the revenue bond, and the city agrees not to sell or otherwise dispose of the system, the project, or any substantial part thereof, except as provided in the loan agreement, and shall not establish, authorize, or grant a franchise for the operation of any other utility supplying like products or services in competition therewith, or permit any person, firm, or corporation to compete with it in the distribution of water or for municipal, industrial, or domestic purposes within the city. 10.4, the city covenants and agrees with the district and other owners of the revenue bond that it will maintain the system in good condition and operate the same in an efficient manner and at a reasonable cost so long as any portion of the revenue bond remains outstanding, that it will maintain insurance on the system for the benefit of the holders of the revenue bond in the amount which usually would be carried by private companies in a similar type of business, that it will prepare, keep, and file records, statements, and accounts as provided for in the resolution of the loan agreement. The revenue bond shall refer expressly to this resolution and the Act, and shall state that it is subject to all provisions and limitations thereof pursuant to Section 19 of the Act. Section 11, depositories. The finance officer shall cause all monies pertaining to the funds and accounts to be deposited as received with one or more banks which are duly qualified public depositories under the provision of South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 4 through 6A, in a deposit account or accounts which shall be maintained separately from and apart from any other accounts of the city, so long as any of the bonds and the interest thereon shall remain unpaid. Any of such monies not necessary for the immediate use may be deposited with such depository bank in savings or time deposits. No money shall at any time be withdrawn from such deposits accounts except for the purpose of the funds and accounts as authorized in this resolution, except the money from time to time on hand in the funds and accounts may at any time be in the discretion of the city's governing body, discretion of the city's governing body, be invested in securities permitted by the provision of South Dakota Codified Law 4-5-6, provided, however, that the depreciation fund may be invested in such security maturing not later than 10 years from the date of the investment. Income received from the deposit or investment of the money shall be credited to the fund or account from whose money the deposit was made or the investment was pursuant and handled and accounted for in the same manner as the other monies. Last page. Section 12, consent of appointment. In the event of mismanagement of the project as a default in the payment or the principal or interest of the revenue bond or in any other condition thereof materially affected the lawful holder of the revenue bond, or if the revenues of the project are dissipated, wasted, or diverted from their proper application as set forth in the loan agreement, revenue bond, or herein, the city hereby consents to the appointment of a receiver pursuant to section 33 of the act and agrees that the receiver will have the powers set forth therein and in sections 34 and 35 of the act to operate and administer the project and charge and collect rates as described therein. Section 13, severability. If any sections, paragraph, clause, or provision of this resolution in the loan agreement, the reserve bond, or any other loan document shall be held invalid, and the invalidity of such section, paragraph, clause, or provision shall not affect any of the other provisions of this resolution or said loan agreement, revenue bonds, or any other loan documents. Section 14, repeal of resolution. At any time as the project revenue bond is defeased or paid in full, this resolution and the special charge or surcharge shall be automatically be repealed without any further action of the city. Section 15, authorization of the city officials. The mayor, finance officer, city attorney, and city officials shall be and they are hereby authorized to execute and deliver for and on behalf of the city any and all other certificates, documents, and other papers, and to perform such other acts as they may deem necessary or appropriate in order to implement and carry out the actions authorized herein. Section 16, effective date. This resolution shall take effect on the 20th day following its publication unless specified by a referendum. Adopted at the Millers, South Dakota, this 19th day of August 2024.
I missed something on page 8. You wanna go back and read that?
You know, I hope, and I apologize, those of us who have bifocals understand that sometimes letters don't always appear the way they should and stuff, so, anyway, to answer your question, what page, no.
Clear as mud.
Okay, all right,
We
So-
need a motion to approve.
yes, we do.
I move we approve resolution number 2024-9.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, motion has been made and second to approve resolution number 2024-9. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. I will defer this one because that smaller type is a little bit more than,
I can read. I was
Okay.
gonna find it.
it's on page 14.
Resolution number 2024-10, resolution amending the city's rate structure providing for a surcharge for improvements to the water system for payment of a revenue borrower bond and yearly review of rate. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Miller as follows. 1, surcharge for borrower bond. There shall be charged a monthly surcharge for the services provided by the improvement financed by the DW-06 Conservancy District loan. The surcharge for each loan shall be segregated from other revenues of the city and shall be used for the payment of the borrower bond DW-06, parentheses, the borrower bond. provided that such surcharge shall create net income remaining from time to time after first paying all reasonable and current expenses of maintenance, repairs, replacements, and operations sufficient to fund interest, reserve, and debt service fund annual requirements. Number 2, rates and collection. The city does hereby establish the special charge or surcharge payable by each customer of its system who receives or benefits from the services of the project financed by the borrower bond. Such charge or surcharge shall be set at a level which, assuming a 10% delinquency rate, will produce income at the times in an amount sufficient to pay when due to the principal of and interest on the borrower bond and the administrative expense surcharge and all other payments as may be required under the loan agreement and borrower bond. Number 3, borrower bond surcharge. The following drinking water debt service surcharge shall be applicable to all customers served. Borrower bond DW-06 surcharge $2.20 per user per month commencing January 1st, 2025. This surcharge shall remain in effect until such time as the revenue bond is paid in full. The initial surcharge shall be collected at the same time as the other charges of the system. The surcharge is found to be equitable for the services provided by the improvements. Number 4, segregation. The debt service surcharge shall be segregated from other income of the system in a separate bookkeeping account and is pledged to the South Dakota Conservancy District for the payment of the loan payments on the borrower bond. Number 5, yearly review. The amount of the surcharge shall be reviewed from year to year and may be modified in order to provide such funds as are set forth herein. The charges shall be reviewed yearly by city and administratively adjusted upwards or downwards to such amounts as may be necessary to pay principal, interest, administrative surcharge, and other charges as may become due and owing under the loan agreement or borrower bond. Number 6, billing and accounting. The surcharge shall be included in the monthly user bill. Nothing contained herein requires the surcharge be indicated on the billing. However, the surcharge segregation shall be indicated on the books of the city. Number 7, automatic repeal. The surcharge for the borrower bond shall be automatically repealed when the borrower bond is paid in full. Number 8, partial invalidity. If one or more of the provisions of this resolution shall be held invalid, illegal, or unenforceable in any respect by final decree of any court of lawful jurisdiction, such invalidity, illegality, or unenforceability shall not affect any other provision thereof.
Yours was shorter. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-10.
So moved.
Second.
Okay? Motion and second to approve resolution 2024-10. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And for clarification, that was one that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the one that could have been a $7 one, but we got principal forgiveness.
65% principal forgiveness on that additional 1.1 million that we applied for and was awarded back in June.
That's why it's 2.2 instead of the full 7 surcharge.
And again, correct me, I can't express enough, we are so far ahead of the ball game with regard to other communities in South Dakota. And, you know, we have certain stipulations that we have to follow, but I'm thinking, looking forward, that we're appreciative that we're in the category we are right now, with what may transpire later on. You don't know, but you just, yeah, so moving forward with the quality of water and the amount of payment, I think we're in a good spot, so. Even though I know it is a burden on the households, I get that, and so does the council, but.
We are used as an example in the positive way at a lot of water meetings and utility meetings around the state, even at the state level. We're used in a positive way as the city of Miller is used as an example.
Okay. All right. Okay, on page 15, the ball field fence quote. I think Roger obtained this, didn't he? Yeah. This, does anybody have additional insight with regard to this fence?
I talked to Roger today out there, and the two big problems are the first base line on the south softball field and the baseball field. And if you look how that bottom of that, it's not done the way it should have been done, but it curls up, and first time some kid's foot goes under that, you know what he's gonna do, he's gonna wanna pull back, and it's gonna cause a major injury, because that, you know, that's pretty sharp wire. And he also said that he would be willing to, you know, take the other stuff down and put the new stuff up. Cause I think this must be their quote per hour kinda, that's not in this for labor.
I got a labor and mileage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the,
Oh, not taking out the old though. It'd just be new.
And if it got approved, he was willing to try and get started on it as soon as possible. To get it done this fall yet. I think they have one more 5-and-5 game out there this week, and then that's it. All the games are done for the year.
Yeah, good.
do we have any room in the budget for that kind of stuff? You know?
Yes, in the ballpark we do,
Ballpark.
yes.
We want it
So-
to be safe, so.
Yeah, so we're looking at, are we looking at that total? Because that total,
There's material that's separated above it, and then once you see price to install, that would be the labor.
that would be labor.
Yep, so the labor would be just short of $3,000 for, I count up 500 feet of fencing.
Roger said that that was just for the 200-foot lengths. It wouldn't be for that 100-foot length material.
400 feet then?
Yep.
So $6,000 essentially?
No, yeah, there's an and here.
That's, yeah, just a little under 6,000.
This is a 6.
Doesn't take very many ER bills on hurt kids to get to that dollar amount. It's in the budget. I'd make a motion that we approve to go through with the Wasika fencing.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Right, what was the total you had on it?
I got $6,027.
6,000, okay. We have a motion and a second to replace the, or to approve the fence quote for the ball field. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. South Dakota Municipal League Annual Conference in Sioux Falls, October 8th to the 11th. What, I have to mark those down, what days are those?
Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday. So if anybody is interested in attending, do they have, I'm sure they have a kind of agenda out already, don't they, or?
Yeah, they do, and it's their 90th, so it's gonna be
Oh.
a big one.
Well, I'll be going, 'cause
Yep,
You
you're
will
on the
be?
policy committee for
Committee,
utilities.
yep.
Okay, good. Right. Probably let Cindy know if anybody additional are interested in going. Item number 6 is the plat, Nelson Second Edition. The plat is on page 16 through 18.
The only thing that we talked about, because I see the only thing we have to sign is the approval by the city. And it says, I hereby certify that the following is a correct copy of the resolution duly passed by the city council of Miller. It's got the wrong street on the plat showing. The legals is probably correct. That really can't be changed or different. But I'm fine with signing it as long as we make note that on the map that they gave us, that they have the wrong street.
It should be East Third Avenue.
Right, and they still have the right highway on there, Hammond
Yeah.
County Highway 27, so I mean, it's partially correct. So, I'm fine with approving it.
Okay. Okay, with the noted change, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the plat for the Nelson Second Edition with the change in address, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, motion is made and second to approve the bills, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Move to adjourn if there's nothing, no other business.
We adjourn?
Second.
Adjourn.
Did
All
you
in
get
Favor
that?
say aye.
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 Yeah, there you go.
Move to kill the fly.
Tom, that one word was appurtenances.
Appurtenances, what did I say?
Apparatus.
Apparatus, don't ask me where I got apparatus, appurtenances. You know, yeah, it goes back to the seniors in, when they're in school, I'll say a word, but we know what you meant.
Just wait a minute. Who gets that? And all the land all the way back. Yeah, so, yeah. Oh. This is the driveway. Cause this is all that old Anderberg place we're driving there now.
What are you doing tomorrow? I'll trade you.
I'm glad this speaker was between me and Cindy, she'd have probably kicked me in the shin.
I don't know if that's a separate utility. It almost has.
I'll trade you jobs tomorrow.
This way. Well, we just gotta get new ones.
Federal jury duty.
Oh, I almost got roped into that once. I got selected and then they settled.
So we're gonna head to Deadwood the next day, so it better be on our way. Be on, I'll be driving back up here from Deadwood.
Cindy? Cindy, when is your